But
Well, hello. It is Life's Co-Pilot. We are doing our expert panel tonight. I'm very excited. Sam Cooke is with us tonight. He is going to talk. I don't know if he's going to be singing or Dock of the Bay or any of that kind of stuff going on, but he will definitely be talking to us about a service that he provides to the senior community. And I think it's a great opportunity. It's basically trying to help people age at home safely. And Sam, I'll let you introduce yourself, who you are, what your company is, all that kind of good stuff.
of course, thank you for having me on, Jim. It's a pleasure. I will not be singing tonight. Although my name is Sam Cooke, I in no way, shape, or form have any right to be singing. So I'll spare everyone who's listening online. But yeah, Independent Living. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called Independent Living. We're a contracting firm that specializes in helping folks age safely in place. And to kind of give you a brief synopsis of what that means, because that's kind of a buzz term that's being thrown around right now. Aging in place is essentially the practice of retrofitting or even pre-planning at a residential or commercial home plan to accommodate different types of accessibility as folks age. If folks, develop any kind of illnesses or ailments, working around that to provide mobility and accessibility, and essentially, creating more of a universal design for people. Um, Independent in itself is, only about a year old, but between my partner and I, we have 30 plus years of construction experience, and especially in the residential space. Hopefully that's a brief enough synopsis and informative. But thanks again, Jim.
You got a lot of partying going on there beside you here.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
So tell me so you just started this just recently, is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
And you do, so you're basically trying to help people. Now, so how much I mean, what kind of scope of things will you do? Like, let's say I just was having a conversation with my mom today, and I was trying to make it safer for them to age in their house as long as they could. And they only had a half bath on the first floor, and I was trying to get them to, I come from a building background. I knew where we could put a shower in and how we could make that work. And dad wouldn't let us do it. But, then of course we sold the house, and the very first thing they did was
Was make
do
the
that, right?
renovation. Yeah, exactly.
But do you do that kind of stuff? Do you basically work as a general contractor? How does that work?
That's no. So we're a general contractor. My partner and I perform most of the work ourselves. We do subcontract out different functions, or if it's a large scale project, we'll bring in subs to help bring projects to speed quicker. But to answer your question more succinctly, Jim, what we focus on really depends on the individual, and that can be a tub to zero barrier shower installation conversion. We just worked on a project for a gentleman who had Parkinson's, where we went around and just simply retrofitted door handles and kitchen knobs to be more accessible with a lack of grip strength. So it really depends on the individual and the situation that we're walking into. But what we generally see is strategic grab bar placement, the installation of ADA compliant equipment such as toilets, shelving heights, things like that, and then obviously the bathroom renovations, which is a big part of staying safe at home, is being able to shower and to bathe yourself, you know, in a safe and accessible environment.
So, do you work with occupational or physical therapists that can help you identify what needs to be done in a house, or are you guys skilled in that particular area as well, or certified in that area, or how do you do that?
Yeah, no, great question. So I'm CAP certified, which is Certified Aging in Place Specialist. That's a National Home Builder Association designation. It's taken very seriously in the industry. We do partner with occupational therapists to underwrite a lot of these projects, just as we want to make sure we're doing the exact right thing for someone, both in the current situation and heaven forbid it's a disease or an illness situation, what may come down that road as things regress or it get worse for that individual. So for specific situations and for larger home comprehensive projects, we will bring in an occupational therapist to help underwrite that project.
Right. I was going to say, I know some people that just do that. Then they have to find a contractor to do things. So
Yep.
I just didn't know if,
Yeah, we are. And we're, I think we have plans at some point to bring that all in-house. So it's a full service shop in that regard. But to be honest with you, it's kind of nice to have that degree of separation to maintain independence and have a third party say, here's what I think is absolutely necessary. Here's what's nice to have. And here's something, I don't think is relevant to the situation. Because some folks will come in with a very cookie cutter solution and say, we'll do a bath to shower conversion in a day, and that's what you need. But maybe it's more of a hermetic sealed tub so you can still shower with grab bar placements, or it's other features in a bathroom that need to be taken care of. And so we do appreciate the folks we work with in that regard because they are honest and straightforward with what's needed.
Do you have your clientele that's coming to you? I mean, are you finding people that are actually real life planning ahead? Or do you have people that are getting blindsided or smacked upside the head because they just now are getting released from rehab and they have to go home and they don't know how in the world they're going to make it?
I think it's a little of both, and there are some folks that kind of, and this, I think generally this is more with a chronic illness. We'll see that preparation piece come in because this is not a type of service that you really want to think about until you have to think about it type situation. So if the writing is on the wall, I think people are generally plan a little bit more than react, but there's a lot of reaction. But unfortunately, in the grant and in the insurance space, which I'm sure we'll touch on here soon, a lot of folks have requested these services and have been waiting for these services for some time now. And we're trying to, work through that backlog with different partners just to get these people, brought up to speed with the equipment they've been asking for some time. And so it's that mix of, preparation, reaction, and people have been waiting for critical, installations for some time.
Where are they waiting right now? I mean, are you coming in
all over
as white knighting it, or are they with some other agency that's supposed to be doing something that just doesn't get to them because they're so backlogged? Or
no, well, so it's I think it's maybe a little bit of both. There's right now in at least in Indiana, and I can't really speak on other states because it's kind of a state by state basis on how these programs work. But in Indiana, to perform this work as a contractor, it's very capital intensive, meaning you're as a contractor on the hook for materials and time and labor and overhead, which everyone is as a contractor. But the way projects are paid out is always in the rears on grant and insurance based projects. So you're floating projects 45. I've heard horror stories up to half a year in some situations. And there's been a lot of changes in Indiana's legislation and the way these programs are administered, and I think that's kind of had some part in that waiting game. But so there's a disincentivization for folks to get into the space to perform the work. There is also just a ton of people that need these services critically, and just to kind of say it frankly, working with bureaucratic systems, those things move very slowly. So it's kind of just a chipping away at it endlessly type of situation.
Now, you were talking about grants. Tell me what that's all about.
Yeah, so we work with great partners, and I'm sure you've heard of Socoa here in Central Indiana. There's, I think, 15, and I this is off memory, so 13 or 15 AAAs in Indiana that are non-government organizations, but are stewards of different funding sources. So that can be the veterans, the VA fund. That can be what's another example? HUD. HUD has a great funding program for these types of things. I think the Lilly Endowment does some things, and so they basically the AAAs work to corral these funds. And then send case managers out into the communities to help underwrite, what might be done for an individual person. Now, that's not always a home modification. That could be Meals on Wheels. That can be assisted living. That could be a live-in nurse or some other type of in-home service. But their job is to simply match, need with dollars and then a service provider. And those grants it depends on the grant, but they try to bring in a wide array of grants so that the goal is not to turn anyone away who needs a service. And some of these grants come with different stipulations. So having a nice diversified grant pool they can pull from helps to make sure those projects are, completed. There's other types of organizations too that are not for profits, like saws that go out and build ramps.
Right.
I think they pull down grants too, and then just individual donations or corporate donations help fund those as well. So there's a lot of great resources.
Pace? Are you affiliated with those guys too, or?
We're working on it. I'd say hopefully by Q1 of next year we're in the different PACE programs around Indiana. It's just frankly it's a lot to tap into in Indiana in terms of the ecosystem of third-party payers or providers that we can work with to help bring these projects to fruition.
So how far across Indiana do you work?
Right now, Indypendent Living focuses on Marion County and the Donut counties.
Okay. So it's Socoa's market right now.
It's pretty much Socoa's market. We're formalizing contracts with Lifestream up in, I think, the Muncie area, and then area 9, which is more central state, I think. If I could be getting that wrong. Fortunately, this is recorded, so let the ledger show I could be wrong on that. We are trying to expand further into the state as well, just because the demand is it's ubiquitous across the state. It's not just here in central Indiana. So
yeah, I think that I think that one of the big things that a lot of people want to do, if possible, is to age at home.
Exactly.
The key is can they do it safely?
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of our MO at the base of what we're doing is we look around, and we all have parents or had parents at some point. If you're still fortunate enough to have parents, you see them, and ideally you want them to be at home in their community, in a familiar environment, where they have autonomy and control over their own decisions and their lifestyle, but can do so in a meaningful and safe way. So that's ultimately the note that makes us tick as a company, is bringing that to fruition so that we do not have to keep sending folks to assisted living or nursing homes preemptively.
Well, very good. So how do people find you? What are you coming in? Is it like Socoa saying, "Hey, here's a guy that can do this," or or are they finding you and then calling Socoa?
Usually, it's by like a smoke signal or a carrier pigeon, just because we're not on really the internet yet. But a lot of it is actually referral based, so word of mouth on the private pay side, which I don't even think we've really talked about that much. That's kind of the third pillar as I see it: the grant, the insurance, and then the private market. So word of mouth on that front. And then we are a preferred and listed contractor in these different programs as well. So obviously we're Medicaid certified to be on the different waivers that we're on. And that means we can contract directly with the 3 big insurance companies that hold those waiver programs, and then individual case management companies that also do work with Medicaid waivers. And then, getting into the AAAs is just, proving your worth and, showing that you're professional and timely and are competent at what you're doing.
Well, you're talking about like the Medicaid, and I understand you could be the waiver program, because the waiver program is to try to help people either stay at home or to stay in assisted living rather than going into a full-on nursing home type thing or still living. But I don't know if a lot of people realize that Medicaid would actually pay for home repairs or to get things, where you can live safely at home. Could you kind of, maybe ballpark kind of how that kind of works for people so they understand that they have resources they may not have known they had?
Exactly. I think unfortunately, one of the best kept secrets as a part of these Medicaid programs are the waiver programs, which by definition are put in place to allow exemptions to what Medicaid traditionally covers, with the goal being to help folks save at home. I think, from an insurance perspective, there's huge cost savings in keeping folks at home. I mean, you pay for a home modification once, and it's generally, if it's a bath remodel, it can be a few $1,000s to, low tens, depending on complexity. But the cost savings of having that implemented once versus, paying for full-time, assisted living or
Well, like skilled
nursing
living, I
home
mean,
or skilled living. Yeah,
assisted living, you might be able to get away with 5,000 a month, but skilled living, you're going to be paying 10 plus. So
exactly. Yeah.
there
So
is
there's
opportunity of saving money for the
I think
state.
there's huge cost savings for the state and for the stewards of these funds. But just in going back to kind of the legislate or the way these funds have kind of changed over time is traditionally the AAAs were the stewards of the Medicaid funds, and they do some still. They do so the way it's kind of bifurcated is the 60 and older crowd and the 59 and a half and under crowd. They still manage a lot of that younger crowd, type Medicaid work, and then they have the state quasi Medicaid program choice, which they also facilitate, which also kind of falls parallel to what Medicaid does. I was going somewhere with this, but yes. So my point being is I think these insurance companies are, basically were given the contracts to facilitate these funds last year and are still putting in the infrastructure to get these things to market fast and are frankly just, working to figure it out still. So Anthem's leading the charge there for sure. Great person. Emily McAndrews just joined their team to help stand up this program and bring, some momentum behind it. And I think we'll see Humana and United following suit here soon. And so I think it's just a matter of there hasn't been enough time really for these insurance companies to figure out how to appropriately and properly take these products to market.
So let's just say, for instance, if there are a lot of families out there that actually plan for things and set their schedules out and get ahead of things. But then there's people like my family. We have traditionally been really, really good at waiting until it's crisis and then having to deal with it, right then.
Same.
I mean, we've got that down pretty cold anyway. So, but with that said, for anyone out there that is going through it or will soon be going through it or whatever, the way the world works in that is all of a sudden mom or dad has to go to the hospital for whatever it is, and they're there for a few days, and then they get weak from being in a hospital bed for a few days, and so now we have to send them to rehab to get them stronger so they can, get back to where they can get around and be at home or be wherever it is. And then you get a call and say, okay, we're going to release them from rehab tomorrow. We're going to take them. And you're going, well, I don't know, how, if they're finding themselves in that situation, probably the second they're in the hospital, they should be calling you. But if they wait till all of a sudden they get released from rehab,
yeah,
what kind of timing can you do to like maybe put a patchwork on things if necessary? Is there such a thing?
You know what? That's a great question, Jim. That's something I'm still trying to kind of solve myself in full transparency. But I mean, we're a mission-based company, so if there's an urgent need, I think especially with my capacity to prioritize things differently, and make sure we're trying to adjust for someone. If a very urgent need hits the wire and things need to happen quickly, and that's another great example of where we can pull in subcontractors too, just to help kind of speed processes up and get things moving. So,
well, maybe getting a ramp in so they can just get in the door. Maybe
exactly. And there's thresholds to it too. It's what does this person need to be sent home? And I've heard stories of folks being sent home and then they'll fall trying to get back into the house because there's not a ramp in place. So it's what is the bare minimum that needs to get done for someone to get back home, and then is there a hit list we can address later with that person once timing or schedules open up again.
Because it blindsides you. You've got all these things that hit you at once, and then they are cast out from the hospital or from the rehab.
Exactly.
You're supposed to know what to do.
Well, so, exactly. And it's, I mean, in my life, I've started thinking more about just universal design. I'm 30 years old, but you never know what could happen, and having things in place ahead of time never really hurts the value of your home, and in some cases can increase the value of your home if it's a universally or excessively designed home. And in my own humble opinion, I think we do very good work too. So from a craftsmanship perspective, what we install, we stand behind fully in confidence, but there is no perfect answer or solution to that. It's life hits you fast. And if you're not prepared, we're here to help as we can, and we'll make things happen. Take care of the highest priorities.
Yeah, so like a priority list. Okay, I can get you into the bathroom. I can get you into the house. Now we'll come back and we'll start working on these other
Exactly. I
Yeah,
mean, Jim, even in this case, though, I hear stories of folks that have not showered in years, like 2 years, a year and a half, because they cannot get into the tub because their doorway is not wide enough for the wheelchair to get in.
right.
And so there are high priorities right now that we don't even know about or haven't been, brought to light yet. So there's a lot of people suffering right now, and I just, the faster we can get these systems in place, the better. And to your point, prioritizing and taking care of the bare minimums to just get people around safely and accessibly. Um, that's what we try to focus on.
Well, that's very good. So, how does someone, what's the process like when they're trying to get a hold of you and trying to figure out how all that works?
So
Maybe an optimum and then an emergency.
if it's an emergency, we have our information posted on our website. We're developing socials. I'm not a huge social media guy myself, so that's something I'm trying to train myself on better. Um, you can directly call into the Sokoas of the world and ask for us directly, without going through their grant programs, or you can call the AAA's directly and apply to receive these services. There's obviously a weight with that, is there's a backlog on the grant and the insurance side, but there's different paths. On the Medicaid side, if you are on Medicaid, ask about waiver. I know there's different thresholds that you need to meet from an income perspective. Um, and I think even with the Medicaid waiver, there's a more lenient threshold on income requirements. So, which is great in my opinion. It helps get more people into this program. But under the current regulatory, and Jim, you might know about this than I do. I believe there's a cap at 40,000 people on the waiver list right now. And so it's the part of the wait is just simply waiting for folks to, kind of cycle through the system. And I know that changes, throughout the years in the different cycles. Sometimes it's no cap and sometimes it's capped. But right now we are in a capped environment. So,
Well, the change they made last July to going into the Pathways program rather than the Medicaid waiver program that was around has caused some serious backlogs. I know that right now I'm hearing you want to get your name in there as soon as you can because it's probably 2 years before it's actually going to be
yeah,
processed. So yeah,
that's
so
what we're hearing. And like I said, I do think the insurance companies are kind of stepping on the gas and figuring out how to get these programs set up quickly, but it still takes time.
yeah. So do you have financing available for people that are trying to do it on a private pay or?
I mean, we'll figure it out with people,
Okay.
especially depending on the need. We don't want to turn anyone away that needs these services. Um, we don't work with like a synchrony or any type of
Okay.
bank on that front, but we will figure it out to make sure that these things are done for folks that need them. Um, but
So
there are
what kind of things, what all, you're doing, obviously putting grab bars, you're doing things where you're making showers accessible, you're making doorways wider, I assume, potentially ramps. What other kind of things are finding that are those needs? Do you do lifts for the upstairs or to go up the stairs, or is that something that you,
we're getting certified in that. We hope to offer that service in the new year,
okay.
both that and the platform lifts. So that'd be a great service offering to add as well. And we have folks that we can refer out to for those types of services now if those do come across the wire. But to answer your question, the way I think about it is anything pertaining to accessibility. And I mean, we've re-platformed, exterior patios, stone patios that are uneven and present, tripping hazards to make sure those are flush and plumb. And there's no obvious chance of someone misstepping and hitting a crack. And so, it generally falls within the grab bar, conversion, toilet, um, ramp, periphery, but it's once again anything to do with mobility and moving around your home as safely as possible.
Well, very good. So what kind of things would you like to tell people that you just think people don't know that if you had had an audience to just say, these are things that drive me crazy. I wish people knew.
That's a great question, Jim. I wish I had a profound answer off the dome, and maybe it'll come to me as I start rambling here. But the number one piece of feedback and comments we hear from clients is, I wish I had known about this sooner. There is not a lot of marketing around this type of service. It's not, once again, something that you think of unless you have to think of it. But for folks that we have done work and we have put a strategic grab bar or built a step to help transition a wide threshold, it is life changing to people. And so our evaluations are free. We will come out and consult for free and offer advice for free. It's worth a call, even if it's something that you're thinking about, or if you've had near misses in the recent past and just want to understand what the different options are. Don't hesitate to reach out and give us just ask us questions. This is why we're here. The other thing I wish more people knew about too was just the wide network of resources available to folks to help fund these projects, and even to underscore a conversation we just had around the private pay. We've seen folks that have had great long-term disability insurance or just different insurance policies that they're able to draw down from for these types of services, which I think is really smart and something that most folks should have as you hit a certain age. So even in the private pay market, there are ways to offset these costs. But
the other thing is too that I don't know if people have you've done one with it yet or not, but people that either have a reverse mortgage or could use a reverse mortgage and could pull that money out to help pay for this stuff.
Yeah, you could definitely go that route. I'm not a financial advisor, so take my advice as a grain of salt. But I'd see that almost as a last case scenario.
I would say that it would be a higher level than a last resort, because it is. In fact, I went to a reverse mortgage to prepare myself if I ever need something down the road. I didn't take any money out. It's just in there.
It's sitting there.
Well, that's sitting there.
That's
and
smart.
So
yeah.
What it means, I have no payment, right? And so because of that, I'll have a negative AM. And the way I did the math is, even at the current interest rate, I won't run out of equity until I'm 90. Okay. But on the flip side, if I don't touch the other part, it grows at the same interest rate as what I'm paying on the other side. So at 90, I have $360,000 of home equity line of credit in there that I can still use. And
there you
what's
go.
nice about it, you never have to pay for it.
So just to reiterate, I'm not a financial advisor. Listen to Jim on this point. I had no idea that was an option too. I assume.
I'm just saying that would be an opportunity for you to help people do that.
Exactly,
so I can give you some good, what they call them, heck mortgage guys. It's just a straight FHA loan. But anyway.
Yeah. No, yeah. Let's connect on that after this. But no, that sounds good. Yeah, I mean that's certainly an option too. So.
To my opinion, what I did it was because I'm sitting there going, how many seniors get pushed out of their home because they can't afford the tax payments, or because they have something, they need a new water heater or they need a new roof or what have you. Well, if I have that sitting there in the quote unquote bank, that gives you options.
Provides a sense of comfort for sure.
Yeah.
No, I actually really like that. You might have swayed me, Jim, on this.
Yeah, well, we have to be 62. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to wait for a couple minutes, but anyway, so
it's coming.
So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because that seems to me to be a really logical place for people to pull money too.
It certainly is, and I think a lot of folks at that age have some sort of equity they can tap into at that capacity. So hopefully, and if not, that's where we get creative and try to get them connected with the AAAs of the world, the Medicaid folks of the world, to take care of them.
Very good. Well, Sam, I really enjoyed this. I think this was great. I think that you're providing a really good service in there. I think that a lot of people need this service, whether they know it or not. And you already answered the question I was getting ready to ask first. Was there a charge for you to come out and do a inspection?
Absolutely not.
It sounds like that because that would take some pressure off people. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Free of charge. Always, people can just call us on the phone too. I mean, I'm available by cell phone. I'm I don't really keep standard business hours, so give me a ring if you need anything or have any questions, and we're happy to come out and take a look in person as well.
All right, sounds very good, man. Well, I appreciate it, and I'll get you a copy of this as well, so you can use it however you want to. But this will
Awesome.
be out on our Facebook page for a while, and then it will eventually be a YouTube that we'll use because Facebook only gives us 30 days before they shut down the live feeds anymore. So anyway,
There you go, man. I think this is the first step in a career of a full-time YouTuber channel.
there you go, man. Sounds like great. So, well, thank you much for being with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate
have
your
a happy
time as well.
Thanksgiving.
You as well, sir. We'll talk soon.
Bye bye.